Welcome, everybody. I think we're live now. Good evening, Mr. Unsweater, One Sweater, however you say your name. Javi.
Any way you want to.
Good evening.
Yep, there you go. Sorry about that. Had the other thing on there.
Yeah.
Evening, Dave.
I apologize again, folks. I don't really have any big topic or anything. We're just going to use this as kind of a general Q&A session. I do have a guest coming up in a couple of weeks. And then we'll try to do, well, let's see, we're in June now. We'll try to do another show and tell thing. Everybody seem to like to do those. Just a few little odds and ends I want to talk about before we get started on whatever else we're going to talk about. I did a video, I don't even remember when it was, last week, was it? Where I featured some Gatton CNC builds, and that seemed to be a popular thing, especially for the guys that were in the video, or their machines were in the video. But I had some folks say, "Oh man, I wish I'd have known. I'd have sent you some photos and stuff." So I put it out there on Facebook again. It's probably dropped down some. You got to scroll down to find it now because I didn't pin it because I got something else pinned. But that it's kind of an open invitation to anybody who would like to have their beautiful Gatton CNC build featured in a video. Send me pictures. Mostly what I'm looking for is not the whole build process. I mean, you can send me those if you want, but I'm mostly just looking for the finished look. I plan on trying to do another one of those videos sometime this month, probably towards the end of the month. And like I said, I'll show you pictures. I'll share whatever information you want me to share, whether it's your YouTube channel, your website, Facebook page, whatever, just send me, when you send the pictures, just send me whatever information you want included, and I will be putting that in the video description or flashing a graphic or both. Anyhow, so that's out there. And then after I got to thinking about it, I thought, well, I don't want the Garage Work CNC guys to feel left out. So I've kind of put the same deal out there for them. So if anybody has a Garage Work CNC and you'd like to, show off your setup, whether it's the fancy table you build, or, I know the Garage Works are going to look a lot more the same than the Gattons. Anyway, that offer's there too. So if you send me, and I've already got some good pictures from one person on the Garage Works. So I'll be doing videos later featuring y'all's machines and stuff. So yeah, Jerry, I put a thing on Facebook the other day. You may have missed it, and I'm sure it's way down the list now. You know how stuff is. I was probably 3 or 4 days ago, I guess, when I did it. But yeah, just whatever you want. If you got, your Polly Wants a Crafter website or, YouTube channel, whatever it is you want me to help promote, just put that information in there and I will put it in the video. Bubba Hogue in the house. How you doing, Bubba? We've got David Mitchell, the one from Kentucky, Ryan Ballard, Sean Martyr, Jerry Brown, Larry Duggar,
Andrew Haig, Becca Miller, Bubba, David Guy. Oh, lots of Davids today. Mr. Gatton, Mac Mitchell, Geist Mitchell, 2 Mitchells, and David Rice.
Yeah, well,
Eric,
Dave's a really cool name. So
that it is. Eric, Jeff Connor, Jerry, Josh, Keith, Larry, Mervin, Ronald, Ryan, Sean, Texas Tradition Chorus. That's a funny name. And the Wood Bucket with Sean, and Wayne and Sean Draper, of course.
Oh, that must be Becca Miller,
And
the
Carl
chorus one.
Whitaker. Well,
Carl
Becca's
Whitaker,
also here.
my old Danville buddy.
Uh, oh,
Went to
there.
school
Yep,
with old Carl.
yep. Your old high school chum.
Yep, yep. Yeah, Carl, you need to send me some pictures of your machine. I don't think you've done that, or maybe you have, but yeah, send me some pictures. Uh, Dave Mack says all the best folks are named Dave. Yeah, I tend to agree with you, Dave. All right, let's see what else we got to talk about. I saw somebody, I can't remember who it was. Was it Landis Students? I think it was him. Asked me if I figured out what was wrong with my spindle or my VFD. Yes, I have, and it's working perfect again. And I thought I would share it with you all tonight just in case. I know a few of you out there got the same. Well, some of you have the exact same spindle kit that I have. Others have one similar. Like I think Jerry Brown's got this. I think his is the same brand, but a different size or something like
I'm
that.
certainly curious to hear about what went on there.
Okay, well, let me just kind of tell you what I did. I back when my VFD popped and went kapooey. That's been well over a year ago, I think now. I was getting online trying to find a replacement VFD, and I could find one, but it was going to take 2 or 3 weeks to get it. And I thought, well, that's kind of stupid because I can order the whole dang kit, which is the spindle, the mount, the pump, all that whole thing, just like I'd bought before. I could order that and have it in 2 days. So I want to get it going. So I ordered a whole nother kit. So I've had sitting in the other room over there, I've had a whole, spindle, mount, pump, hose, collets, all that stuff. So I thought, well, at least I can swap out the spindle and, at least eliminate that if that's what it is. So I went and got the new spindle out of the thing, took it out there to the garage, fired up the machine and moved it up forward so I could get to everything. Took the old spindle out, put the new spindle in, and turned it on, and it took right off and ran. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm a friggin' genius. I just fixed it. And then a little while later, it quit again. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm not a friggin' genius. I'm a friggin' idiot. I don't know. But anyway, so I thought, well, I'm going to have to make a new dust shoe for I'll put that big old Porter cable 7518 on there. I'll just stick that on there to get by till I figure out what the deal is. And in the meantime, my buddy Jim, you guys probably know him as well as you know me because I talk about him so much, but my electrician buddy Jim lives around the corner. He called me and says, hey, let's go to lunch. I said, well, I got this little issue here. And he goes, well, I'll come look at it. So he brings his, all his meters and stuff where he can check the amps and all that electrician stuff. I don't know what it is. But anyway, he gets out here and he gets to checking everything. And he goes, I don't know. Everything looks good. Your breakers, what is that thing? Contact breaker, I think he put in. That was good. All the bolts was good, each phase and all. Nothing out of the ordinary. So but what was funny is when I went out there, when he said he was coming over, it only takes him like 5 minutes to get here. I went out there and I flipped the thing on, and for the heck of it, I hit it, and all of a sudden it spun up again. I'm like, what the heck's going on? It just runs when it wants to. So anyway, Jim and I are standing there, and he, it's at the time it's running. It's one of those times where it happened to come on. And he reaches up and he grabs the little fitting at the top of the spindle that you screw on. And as soon as he bumped it, it stopped. And he goes, oh, there's your problem right there. He goes, let's pull that off and check. He goes, I bet one of those wires came unsoldered or something. So now this is the one. This is the other one. This isn't the one, obviously, that. Yeah. But that's what we did, and it wasn't that one of the wires came unsoldered. It's like, if I can hold this up here, this is what you're soldering to. Maybe that'll get focused. Let's see me put it down here by my shirt. I don't know if you can see that good enough or not. But anyway,
at an angle it works.
I know Jim, when he was soldering this up before, he was griping about how close this is and how big a wire you're putting on there. So it's really close. Well, what had happened was the wire didn't really come unsoldered, but just a couple of strands got loose.
Yeah.
And those strands were just enough that if it moved just right and it touched the other one, it would. Yep. Of course, the good side of this is knowing that the VFD does have the proper protection built into it. So it did what it was supposed to do by airing out. It didn't, it didn't just fry something. So we got out the old solder gun and put it on there and got it. And so far it's running like a top. So
sweet. Oh, that's good to know. I was a little worried that it was my switch assembly that I made for you, the remote switch.
Well, I even pulled the cover off and looked at that because I'm thinking, well, maybe some wires on that, because I'm all the time moving that around. Maybe something got jiggled around and something's touching that's not supposed to be, but it looked fine. So there's not a problem with that. But that was the little mystery thing right there. But it's all good. The VFD was good. The spindle's good. Of course, now I've still got the newer spindle on there. The old one, I'll hang on to it because it's obviously still good. And I did put the little flow meter that Javi sent me. And man, because I had that new router on there and there wasn't any, or spindle, I should say, and there wasn't any junk down in it, that thing was spinning like crazy. But now all of a sudden, it stopped. It won't spin, but you can still tell there's water going through it. And when you go back around there and pull that hose out of the bucket, I mean, it hadn't had a stream that good in a while. And so, I don't know, there must have been some crud or something floating around in that line, and it hit that thing. Because even when I try to tap it, I can't get it to spin.
Yeah, sometimes I had to blow it back. I had a similar thing happen on mine. I had one stop out of the two. It was still flowing, and it turns out it was I wish I could describe it other than it's one of these little tiny clothes moths. It looks it's a tiny little thing. Apparently one must have worked its way into the water or something. They usually crawl up on your walls when they're adults and stick on your walls. Those are the things you see sticking on the walls.
Yeah.
And I don't know how, but one of these little larvas got in there. It jammed, it went through the system, and well, time to put a filter, I guess.
I was laughing. I'd say that's a wood, but I think who is that wood bucket? That's Gary Brady, right? Gary. I think I'm terrible with all these little usernames. If I know your real name, I can remember it a little bit easier. He says if you call Dave to go to lunch, he will put you to work.
Yep. Yeah, that's the way it works.
That's how I roll, buddy. You can ask anybody when they say they want to come by. I say, yeah, wear old clothes.
Dave Mack was asking earlier if you tin the wires first.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask the same thing. Yeah.
It's just you're using like I think that's like 16 gauge wire, and those things are really tiny. It's hard to get them stuck on there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, it's all good. And now that I know what it is, I'll keep an eye on that. So. Patrick's asking if they really need a lot of flow. You don't figure the water would get warm even when running the CNC for hours. Well, we can both address that. Dave, want to tell them the story of your Yeah, I mean, I've had mine clog slap up pretty much, and they they still just. Well,
Yeah.
I guess if you let it run long enough, it'd get hot. But they,
I've
I can
run
tell you
mine.
this much: the stepper motors are going to get hotter than that thing will.
I had a 42-hour job once, and that's the hottest mine ever got. And it was, I mean, it was, I had it cranked up too. I shouldn't have turned it up that high, but I was doing a lot of fine detail work with a V carve, and I didn't want to do any sanding. But that thing was running for quite a long time continuously. I mean, 2 days continuous, and you could feel. I've got a plastic. And you can probably see it. I've got a little plastic container from IKEA with a hole in the middle on the top, and my hoses just go in and out from there. That plastic, which is half filled with water, it's like probably 3 gallons, 4 gallons of water in there, and the everything was warm, but I mean, we're talking maybe 110 degrees, 100 degrees, not even.
Yeah, not so hot that you'd pull your hand back. I mean,
no, not at all. I could stick my hand in there and it just be lukewarm water. But that's probably the hottest I've ever gotten it. And it's only because it was cumulative and constantly flowing over a long time. Yeah, I was surprised that your spindle, I mean, because when I went over to Dave's place, for those of you who don't know, I was visiting Dave once, and I brought him the flow meter, and I went to go hook it up, and when we unplugged when we connected the flow meter, it wasn't working, and I'm thinking it might be the flow meter. Turns out that everything was just so full of gunk that it hadn't been flowing for who knows how long. I was surprised at that time the fact that the spindle was not even hot after it had been running. So
yeah, and it's already scrolled off now. But Landis was saying something about clear tubing. I am using clear tubing on the return line now, and that's the line that's got the little flow meter. So, like I said, even though that thing apparently has got some little bit of gunk or something and stopped spinning, you can still tell when you turn it on that you can see the bubbles and tell it it's moving. So
yeah,
I've just got to do a better job at keeping an eye on it, because I mean, I run my machine a lot. That thing runs a lot of hours. So, you know, it's easy for me to go out there and get started running, and then I go, I probably should have checked that. I'll check it next, you know, and I just don't.
Yeah, but Jerry uses antifungal, the silver antifungal with the red coolant. I actually I'm going on easily 6-7 months without changing my water, and I don't got any other than the occasional bug that drops in. I don't have anything in my water. It's probably a little slimy by now, but I think Dave's issue was compounded by the fact that it might have had something to do with the coolant or antifreeze. Was it you had antifreeze in there? Or?
Yeah, some of that RV antifreeze, that little pink
and mine's in an air conditioned area. Yours is outside, and that's like the perfect breeding ground for that humid, hot garage air is probably perfect for that. But Landis was saying about the clear tubing. The reason I got a flow meter was because I changed the tubes to clear. After maybe a minute of running time, there is not a single bubble to be seen. You cannot tell whether the water is flowing or not. And as far as the condition of the water, I mean, it's even on Dave's machine, you couldn't see it. You couldn't see any gunk or anything in the clear lines. It's all caught up in the pump, oddly enough.
Yeah. So anyway, we're all good, spindle and VFD wise, and Dave is a happy camper because I can go back out there and fire that thing up. I mean, I have, you know, as you guys know, I have other CNC machines, so it's not like if one of them goes down, you know, I'm stuck. You know, I can always run parts on 1 or 2 or 3 other machines. But I like to use that one for the big stuff, and it makes.
And even if you didn't have any other machines, Dave, in 4 hours you could put one of 10 different machines that you have laying around together.
That's true. That's true. I could throw one together pretty quick.
Yep.
Wanted to talk about something else. I guess we're all good on the spindle issue now. I usually get somebody that will ask me for an update on the Go CNC. I'll tell you a little bit about that. In fact, I've got it setting right here. Since I can't cut anything with it just yet because I don't have a spindle or a router for it. I thought, well, no sense in me working out there in the shop. I'll just bring it in here where it's nice and cool and start playing around while jogging it around. I got the other front plate. I've got it sort of attached. I haven't even put all the screws in it yet. But I thought I'd give you, anybody that's interested, I'd give you an update on that. I got an email from them the other day, a couple of days ago, and they are going to send me, according to them, the problem that they've been trying to figure out is all of the things that they offer, the spindles that fit in that holder, are all 230 because that's what Germany runs over there. So they've, I guess, been looking for I don't know what you'd call it other than a converter box, but it's where you can plug it into 110 and it'll convert to 230, or vice versa. If you plug it into 230, and switch it a different way, it'll convert to 110. So anyway, they're going to send this converter, as well as I've got this book right here, a liquid cooled HF spindle. They call it the Poseidon. I'll see if I can hold that up there. But you can see right below it, there's their air cooled. They call that the Ripper Air. So this down here is an air cooled spindle, and then this one here is water cooled. So you can see it's got like a little tank, and then of course the control box to control the RPM and stuff like that. So I'm pretty stoked about them saying they're going to send me one of those. But the issue is I probably am not going to get it till maybe July sometime, maybe the middle of July. I don't think they have any of those in, and he said it's going to be a while before their vendor gets them some. And having dealt with GarageWorks, I know how that works. You're at the mercy of your fabricators and your vendors and stuff like that. If it's something you don't do yourself, you're on their schedule. So anyway, so that project is, I won't really say it's on hold because I've got I showed these last week, I think. I've got the CNC Studio USB box they sent, and I've also got one that's called G-Code processor, which you use like an Arduino. You can use, there's a bunch of different things they sent on that CD or DVD. I can't even think of what one of them's called now, but like Universal G-Code Center, stuff like that. So I'm going to play around with that some. And you also can use stuff like Mach 3 and UC CNC. So I'm going to try to figure out all of that stuff before they get the spindle here. And I got about a month or so to do that. So anyhow, that's the latest on the Go CNC. And then once all that stuff gets here, you'll be seeing some videos come out on that if anybody's interested. Let's see. Yeah, well, Mark, see, this is actually, and I don't know if I've mentioned this before, when they contacted me, to partner up with them and they wanted me to do videos and project videos and stuff like that with this. And when I agreed to do it, I asked him, I said, well, you know, I hadn't really heard of you guys before. Is there anybody over here that's a dealer in the U.S.? And there is not. There isn't any. This is the first Go CNC to ever come to the States. So they're trying to, work their way in, and yeah, they're going to have to.
Yeah, but
not just
it
the
does.
US, but in another country that's running 110 or a different kind of voltage. If they're going to go after that market, they got to be ready to.
Yeah, they got to be ready to. Yeah, it's. We agree with Mark. It's. I mean, it's a good test, but if you truly, like you said, want to go to market on these things, they better have a working prototype, because it's going to die pretty quickly if this is indicative of the kind of product they're going to receive.
Yeah. Anyway, like I said, I'm still patiently optimistic, I guess. I'm really anxious to cut some stuff with it. I just don't want to try to rig up anything on my own. It's all their product that, they're sending everything. And I'm gonna give them a fair shot at it. So anywho, that's the scoop on the Go CNC.
I've got an unrelated question when you're ready for one, Dave.
Yeah, we're not related to anything anyway, I don't think. Go ahead.
I'm kind of curious, because I mean, I've my thoughts have been occupied with designing my future shop, and what are your thoughts on how much space would you need and an ideal CNC size for a I mean, I know the easy answer is how much shop do you have, and that it depends on how much space you have. If you were a reasonable person, and I don't want to say if space was unlimited, because clearly most of us are not in that position. But if you could allocate a reasonable amount of space for a CNC machine, what would your ideal CNC machine layout be, including, say, space to walk around the machine and things like that?
Well, I see guys all the time, guys and gals. When I say guys, that's kind of a generic term for guys and gals. But when I see people build like a Gatton, or even if they get a garage work, say the bigger garage works, some guys will tuck them in a corner and stuff. And I guess if they're a big guy like Michael Mursky and you can reach way back there, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If you're a short guy like me and you, I personally like to be able to get around
from all angles. Yep.
I mean, like if you notice my Gatton, it's not really against anything. There's enough. It's off that back wall enough. I can walk behind there. That's where my bucket is for the water-cooled spindle. I can get to both sides. I obviously can get to the front. And on top of that, it's on casters. I'm a big fan. I know some guys like to get them rock solid and leveled up and all that stuff. I never have been that crazy about that. I want it on casters where I can move it around. I may never move it, but I want to be able to. And like I said, I'm a short guy, and I don't want to have. I don't have anybody here to help me. I don't have a neighbor I can just say, "Hey, come over and help me move this." So I got to have stuff on casters where old Dave can move it himself if he needs to. So I like that. I don't know if that answers your question or not, but
Sean put an answer that I often give, which is depends on your production. Well, I'm saying right now, no, no, in the sense that for this particular question, I'm denying all criteria, all depends. I don't want to hear depends on anything. I want to hear what would, if you would, and which you gave a great answer, David. If you were to, for an average hobby CNCer's needs, design a workshop, how much space would you allot for the CNC? Include, and what size CNC would you find comfortable, and how much would you allot for it? I mean, clearly it does depend on a lot of things, as Sean said. I mean, if you are realistically, if you're nothing but a cabinet shop working with nothing but CNCs and no other tools, then all your space is CNC space. But I'm talking about a full-blown, you have one of every tool shop, and like, for instance, the table saw, I would stick it in the middle of the room. I would allot at least 8 feet in feed and out feed, and maybe 4 feet on the side, so you could flip stuff over and things like that. I mean, that's probably the biggest space hog, if you will, unless you had a panel saw, in which case I'd stick the panel saw on the wall, give just enough space for the panel saw, but then I'd only need the table saw just for smaller cuts. I wouldn't need that much in feed and out feed.
Putting a dado setup or something in it,
Right, that's true.
So, I mean, a table saw does a lot of things you can't do on a panel saw.
Right, right. That's true. That's true. And so, I mean, there's lots of, lots of different ways to do it, and of course, there's not one surefire answer. I basically want to hear them all, so I can pick and choose.
Let me. I'm watching the chat as we're talking here, Javi. Let me just try to clear a couple of things up. Yeah, as far as the 220 or 230 stuff, yeah, we can get that here. But you got to understand, they're selling these as a turnkey, do-it-yourself kit, put it together, and it's made where you guys haven't seen the little box on the back, but it's made where the spindle, like I said, there's our runner on 230, plugs into there, and then it's controlled, turned on and off with the program. Well, if you don't have 230 to run the whole thing, and I know you can do it, that's not what I'm getting at. It's meant to be a DIY kit for people who don't have 230.
Yeah.
And like I said, the reason they do it over there is because everybody has 230. So, they're trying to get into this market. They're going to have to figure some of that stuff out, and I feel confident they will, if they want to do it. But
Sean,
it's not
just asked.
I could go get something now. I could go get something that's 110 and put on there, or I could run 230. I know all that. I get that, but I'm supposed to be partnering with them and showing what their thing is. So I'm not doing any of that stuff.
Right. You're basically answering the question. If we were to sell this to an American with 110 volt supply, what would the issues be?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I appreciate all your suggestions and stuff like that, but
you're not here to fix it. You're here to
tell them how to make their machines.
Right. Sean asked the question that has been on my mind ever since you're waving that widget. What is in your hand? Is that a corkscrew thing?
Y'all remember when I said when I got a 3D printer, I wasn't going to make a bunch of crap?
You made a miniature pick 'em up thing.
This, I don't know. This is called a, let me think what they called this. It's called a Predator something pliers, I think. I don't know whether it's like something out of a movie or what. But I'll tell you why I made this. And again, I'm going to get back to my buddy Jim, the electrician. He, he's got a CNC, he's got a Gatton CNC with a spindle just like mine, and he lives right around the corner. So any tech issues he has, he calls me up. I hop in the truck and run over there, and he's good to go. But he was like me. He didn't know anything about 3D printers. So I've been printing stuff. Like I printed, you remember a couple of weeks ago, I showed that little, I think it's called an iris box, where it prints all in one piece and you turn it and it's got like the little mechanical iris that closes.
Right.
And then I did the, well, if you watch that video I put up.
The platform thing, the raise and lower.
The platform thing. Well, I printed one of these the other day. Now, he hadn't seen this in person yet, but I do this just to mess with him because he's like, he cannot wrap his brain around, and even I can't really, how this thing can print this all in one piece, setting just like this. And then you pop it off and, you know, break a few little things loose, and all of a sudden it just, it's crazy. So I make stuff like this just to show Jim, hey, look what you can do with a 3D printer. So, but yeah, this is some crap that old Dave's printing. I'm trying to print useful things. I've noticed even some people have already left comments on the video I put out earlier about the review I did of that Ender 3, which is an awesome 3D printer, by the way. They're saying when I was talking about how the fan, there's a fan opening that's facing up, and it's right there where the table is. So if you're not careful, like when you pull your little string of stuff where it's oozed out of the hot end, you know, you can drop it in there. Not that I have, but you know, but I have. But you know, it'll go right in that fan. And I keep thinking, well, you know, everybody's saying, well, yeah, you can get a fan cover off Thingiverse or whatever. And I'm like, if I do a fan cover, I'm going to make one myself, because I didn't want to get a 3D printer and be one of those guys that doesn't do anything but print, say with me now, crap off of Thingiverse. Yeah. I want to try to use, you know, make, and I have made, I just didn't bring them out here to show, but one of the coolest things I've made so far is it's just some kind of a plastic articulating arm that hooks onto the frame of or actually it'll hook on the side of that table that I've got those setting on. And I can mount a GoPro or a GoPro type camera to it. So that was something I was wanting to do, because I'm wanting to do those time-lapse type videos. Because 3D printing, I mean, you know, we laughed about it the other night, Javi, because, you know, when you get a 3D carving you're going to do with a router and you're like, oh God, it's taking 4 hours. Well, 3D printing, you're like, oh great, it's only 4 hours. Yeah. Because some of the things, like this thing, I'm trying to remember how long. I think this probably took like 10 hours to print. The platform, that platform jack thing, I think it took, I don't know, 10 hours, 12 hours, something like that. So you set something up like that, it's running a while. But yeah, you get something that's only 4 hours. You're like, all right, that's only 4 hours. That's nothing for a 3D printer. But
yeah, you've inspired me. Here's the roll, and I've got my, I haven't pulled it out of the box yet, but it's in my room, the 3D printer that I've had.
Okay, cool.
Sitting in a box for about 5 months now.
Well, you know, we talked, I think it was last week on this show, about trying to come up with some kind of a project where you can use both a CNC router and a 3D printer. Well, I've got one, and I'm not going to tell you what it is because I'm going to end up doing video on it, but I'm already working on some of the parts. I've already printed out some. I'm just got, and the Amazon folks just brought me some 3 new rolls of filament. I've got some navy blue, some white.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to hearing. And you cannot make this with one or the other by itself?
Do what? What's that now?
You cannot create this same object without one or the other by itself?
Yeah, I could do it either way.
Well, see, that would be that's the true challenge is, can you design something that that without both tools you cannot create. Which I guess there's many ways to create stuff, so I guess it's probably impossible. But
yeah, I see Sean Martyr over there says that he bought ViaCAD. I'm not sure how you say that. And shopping for a 3D printer. I'm not going to try to sell you on anything, Sean, but I tell you, I don't know if you've seen the video where I did that review. That little Ender 3D is, I checked the GearBest affiliate link that I put on that video, or in the description of that video, and it's like $209, I think. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna tell you, that's a steal for that thing. Ron Cleveland's out here in the chat somewhere. I know he just got an Ender 3. I'd be interested. Yep. There he is. Tell me, put in the chat there how you liking your Ender 3, Ron. I'm loving mine. In fact, I got where I used it more than I did. Yeah. I need to work on that too, because I've got a what is it? The Raspberry Pi. Yeah, Raspberry Pi. I bought one of those kits last week, although I think I've got the perfect thing that I'm going to use that for too. And I'm not going to mention that because I'm going to do a video on that as well.
Yeah.
Ron says, I have the Ender 2, Ender 3, and CR10. And I'm assuming, Ron, you still have your others too, the Quiddy Tech, I think it was. But yeah, back to Sean Martyr. Check out the Creality stuff. I don't know how much money you want to spend, but, and you know, of course, obviously, I'm not an authority because I only have two, and they both happen to be Creality. But I can tell you, I watched a ton of videos. I mean, hours and hours and hours of videos, review videos and stuff before I decided on the CR10. And I am not at all sorry that I bought that one. The Ender 3 was provided to me by GearBest. But I may buy one or two more of those things. Those for $200. You know, for really, you could probably buy two Ender 3s for less than you could one CR10S, because I think the CR10S is still $450, $500.
Okay, so here's a question for you, Dave. How much space, table space, would you need, not for a 3D printer, but knowing what you know now about 3D printers, and assuming you're going to buy at least one or two or three or four more so you can print a bunch of parts at the same time, how much space would you say, same question, for a 3D printer would you allocate in a workshop?
Well, I don't know. Ron Cleveland would probably be a better one to answer that question. I know that my little table that I have in there, you've seen it, Javi, because it's right behind me when I'm at the computer in there on the Hangout. It's just a little 24-inch deep by 5. I think it's 5 foot. It may be only 4 foot. Maybe it's
6 foot table. Yeah, 5 or 6 foot table.
I mean, it's small. And it's, you know, I get the CR10 on the left and the Ender 3 on the right, and it's pretty much full. The CR10 does have that extra separate control box, you know, and of course the cables are only so long, so you've got to have it sitting right next to the printer. But I'm probably going to buy. I'm not sure what. I may even make something. I don't know. I'll probably just buy it though, just because it's easier.
Yeah.
But buy some kind of modular.
Ron says you can put the Enders on a roll around shelf and stack them. So yeah, that's.
Yeah,
it's a very good idea. Except I got to stack them at least waist high because I hate bending down.
Yeah, I see a lot of the videos where the guys have, you know, multiple 3D printers, and they have them on those modular shelves that are on casters where you can adjust the height of the shelves, and you know So I may try to get something like that. And while we're talking about 3D printers, if y'all, I don't know how many of y'all watched Javi's show last night, right after mine, but he was talking about making some, what do you call them, air tabs or what are they?
Air tabs is the brand name. Someone on Thingiverse designed something almost identical to it. I don't know how copyrighted that is, but
Javi got one or drew one up. I don't remember which it was. You drew it. It was what
that one I picked up from Thingiverse. It's similar but not exact to an air
this
tab.
is the Thingiverse. Okay, I was thinking this was one. But anyway, he sent me the STL file, and I printed one of those just for the heck of it.
The air comes in, the little point goes toward the back. It gets basically taped on. It's about 3 inches high. It gets taped. They get stuck on every 4 inches on the side tail edge of a trailer, like that.
So the way this works, I guess you stick it on the side like this, and the air comes in this way.
Correct. And it creates two vortexes, one above that little nipply thing and one below, in opposite directions. You know, it basically it goes through the flat part and then creates two little tornadoes.
Okay.
And breaks up the if it wasn't there, the entire flat piece of the trailer would crack on your trailer, whereas since it is there, it breaks up into multiple pieces. The aerodynamics, save you some gas, a lot of gas.
Brown says, "Okay, I've converted a dining room into a home shop. Got a workbench. I'm building now in the DWC CNC base and enclosure. I'm ordering a 3D printer now. Thanks, Dave." You're welcome, Jerry.
See that, Dave? It's
no fun to go down the rabbit hole alone.
There's my box, and I'm blaming Dave as well.
Well, I'm blaming Ron. You know, it took almost a year, but I'm blaming Ron for going down this rabbit hole. But they're a lot of fun.
Here's a question. Here's a question for Ron. If he, how long, if you have a sealed box of 1 kilogram of plastic roll, how long will it remain good and usable in a air-conditioned space? Is there a what's the shelf life of these little plastic rolls, and what type of environments is not good for them? It's dimples on a golf ball. Yeah, very much like dimples on a golf ball, Jerry. Absolutely. That's the airflow does tend to break it up. Let's see. 20,000 years, Sean Martyr.
It might be. I don't know. I don't remember seeing any kind of a use by date or expiration date.
I'm drawing a blank myself, but
I guess a couple of people use it up.
Yeah, a couple of people have told me if you leave it out in the heat and in the sun, it'll well, clearly if you leave it out in the sun, it's not going to be very usable after a certain amount of time. But
yeah, it says that. Yeah, it says if it's in a sealed bag, it'll last a long time. Now, what I've been doing, and of course, I don't think I'm going to have to worry about mine going bad because I'm using it up pretty quick.
Yeah.
But what I've been doing is, like, if I say I use part of a roll, like I've got a black this doesn't have a whole lot left on it. And what I do is when I open up one, I save that bag, and I save the little what do you call that stuff? Silicon, the little bag. I'll save that.
The silica gel. Yeah.
And and just to put it, because I haven't made a rack like some of those guys have. I'll have to do that too pretty soon, I guess. But I take that bag and I put it back in the bag, put that little silicone in there, and kind of close it. I don't worry about sealing it up, vacuum
Well,
seal.
here's the question though, as well. There's another good. Well, I guess I got to ask a material scientist about this, but will the desiccant actually harm the plastic? I mean, is there such thing as too little moisture like there is with wood? I mean, I'm curious myself. I don't know.
I'm the new guy on this stuff, so I don't know.
Yeah, this is way too hard.
And all I'm talking about, Jerry, is PLA. I have bought one spool of ABS, but I haven't even opened it yet. Haven't done it. The PET G and the other stuff I haven't done. Mine is all just strictly PLA so far, and it seems to work fine for the stuff that I'm making. The PLA is fine. I don't have to have anything super strong, or because it's not really being used for anything like that. So the PLA is working fine. But yeah, I got 3D rolls today. Red, let's see, navy blue and a real shiny red. It's going to look awesome. I forget what kind of red it is, and then some more white. I ran out of white, which I like the white, making stuff out of that. But yeah, they make some of that stuff that's got, I don't know, some kind of wood fiber or sawdust or something in it. They say you can stain that. I've seen guys do videos and they can actually stain it.
The wood PLA?
It looks a lot like wood. I mean, at a glance, you'd think it's wood. Yeah, Jerry Brown, if you're gonna do that R2D2 stuff, you definitely need a 3D printer. Come on.
Yeah, I well, for those of you that have been watching me, my progress, a couple weeks ago, I had this incredible plan to CNC all the different parts of the make a miniature, a 1/12 scale model of the shop. So it'd be 40 by 40 inches, which is still pretty huge, as assuming I still plan to build it 40 by 40 feet. But it was just so time consuming, and to build these little miniatures. And I mean, if I'm working with model trains and I got a lot of time on my hands, that's one thing. But this kind of stuff, I just want to slap together a model so I can just move the stuff around visually. I know SketchUp. I don't need to deal with the I like tactile visual. I love to see the model live and envision it that way. And 3D was definitely the way to go, or is the way to go. I haven't done it yet.
Yeah, Sean Martyr's asking, is it expensive? And I'm assuming he's talking about the filament. I don't know
the wood filament. Yeah.
The wood film, I don't know what that costs. Ron might know, but the stuff I've been buying is 3D Solutech is the company. Somebody, I think Andrew Haig, I think it was, recommended that, and I've been buying it and using it ever since. And it's, I think, $17.99 a spool. So yeah, it's that's cheap because a spool will last a long time. I was amazed at how some of these things you can print and it runs for like, you do like a 12-hour print and then you look and you can't even hardly tell there's any off the spool. So anywho, Larry Duggar, he says, Hobby, you could put a 3D printer in the space you have your Cokes in.
Well, actually, yeah.
It's funny because that's true. He could. An Ender 3 would probably fit right there.
But then I wouldn't have my Cokes.
Oh man, think of the
cool. Oh, the humanity
print.
I could also come to think of it, put a portable ice maker where I plan to put my 3D printer instead.
Yeah. Well, you know, getting back to your, I think we kind of sidetracked your question to me about the footprint and size and space allowed for routers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I said, I like mine on casters, and I like to be able to get around all four sides. I just, you know, there was a time, and it still crosses my mind every once in a while. You know, because I get folks asking me all the time, well, when are you going to do a 4x8, or when do you know? And I've thought about it off and on over the years. And I keep telling myself, I don't need to build a 4x8 because I know, trust me, I know what would happen. First of all, I'd cuss every time I go out there because it takes up so damn much room.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, half of it would end up with crap stacked on. And so if I did have to run something where I needed that 4x8 space, I'd have to spend 30 minutes cleaning it off. So I know how I am about flat surfaces.
I know it. That's
Right
how
in the shop.
That's why I try to keep my Colossus, the Gatton Colossus vertical.
Yeah, because it'll end up being
it'll end up being full of stuff.
So yeah. So I don't know. Like I said, every once in a while I get to thinking about it and I go, you know what? I'd like to build one just because I haven't. But if I ever built one, I'd have to turn around and say, here it is for sale. Somebody come get it. It's on casters. Bring a trailer and we'll roll it up in there and y'all haul it off. Because
hey, Ron says, Ron was saying a freezer next to a 3D printer is a good idea. Helps the prints to pop off the build plate. That's something definitely to think about.
Yeah.
Have a small freezer there in place.
And Ron, I don't know if I saw you talking about it or if it was somebody else, but I think what I'm going to do is, you know, I'm very happy with the build surface of the Ender 3. It really sticks to that stuff. I don't have to put anything on it, no glue stick, no hairspray. So I'm quite happy with it, and it seems to be really level. I know you mentioned yours wasn't exactly level, but on my CR10 it's just the opposite. The piece of glass, when I had it on one side, it had a hump in the middle, and when I turn it over, it's got a dip in the middle. So I have to kind of work out the average to get a decent print on that, and I can do it, you know, with enough Aquanet and stuff like that. I can get a decent print on the CR10. But I've been thinking about those what is it called, PEI sheets. Would you recommend that over the pack of mirrors, the little dollar store mirrors or whatever it is? I think you can get them at Home Depot and stuff. So I don't know. Yeah. I know it's like I said, when I first got that Ender 3, the first thing I printed on, I'm thinking, dang, that stuff sticks on there. Because I mean, I didn't put anything down, you know, no hairspray or nothing. Okay, the mirrors. All right, I'm going to try that then.
Yeah, Ron, I'm wondering, and I don't know if this is practical or not, but I'm wondering if you've ever considered, or did I just come up with this magically? If anyone's ever considered having like a, you know, the little Peltier, hot on one side, cold on the other, connected to a heat sink, have a cold plate. Rather than a whole freezer, all you really need is a cold plate with one of those little apparatuses on it, and all you got to do is when you take the glass off, just put it on the cold plate. I don't know if it'll crack or anything like that, or if that would actually be useful if the change in temperature is too much. Just thinking out loud.
Yeah, well, Ron was saying the PEI or PEI, I don't know how you say that, can be put on the. Maybe I'll get some of both.
But yeah, it's so they do have them. Awesome. Andrew Haig has one on his Gecko Tech a Gecko Tech on the other one, and
Yeah, yeah.
he's got one on one and Gecko Tech on the other. Both work well. All right.
I don't, I tell you, like I said, I really like that Ender 3. And I think the reason that I like it is because I can go in there as long as it will, it's small enough it'll fit on that one, because it's obviously smaller than the CR10. But I like it because I can just throw it in the little disc in there and pull it up and hit go and let it do its thing. I don't have to worry about prepping the surface with Aquanet, all that stuff. And I like that. Even though it's tougher to get off, I've learned now that you don't have to baby that stuff. That surface is pretty tough. I was worried about gouging it and stuff like that, but as long as you keep that little thing flat, you can wrap it pretty good and get up under that stuff and it'll pop right off. So I think I was just a little tentative about, not wanting to tear up the stuff. And now I'm like, yeah, okay, let me just get under it and knock it off. Somebody had a Gatton question. David Rice had a Gatton question. Go ahead, David, if you're still out there. Yeah, I wish I had a refrigerator or something, because, my printers are back there in one of the spare bedrooms that I use as an office, and then my kitchen's right over here. But I did have to take the plate off the CR10 one time and put it in the freezer for a few minutes. I can't remember what I had on, but apparently I'd put too much hairspray or something, because I had that sucker stuck on there, and then I was worried about breaking the glass. So, but it popped right off after a few minutes in the freezer.
I can't. I'm looking back to see if I find. You said David Rice's question.
Okay, this it. Sabadex says, David Rice, I'm getting to be an old guy. How bad is the learning curve to Gatton CNC kit? Like building a kit, learning the software. I don't know.
Two separate questions.
I don't know how old you are, David, but I'm an old guy. At least I think I'm an old guy. I feel pretty old some mornings when I get up. But I don't know what your experience is with with woodworking or just putting things together in general. It really, if you've got some good common sense, those are the people that build the best looking Gatton CNCs, are the ones that have the common sense.
And if you don't, those are the people that build them to spec. So either way, it works out well. I will say this though. Speaking as someone who's built a Gatton, my biggest regret is that I didn't do it a lot sooner, because I felt trepidation, because I was afraid. Don't let fear stop you or even delay you, because this is the easiest build. There are basically you order the kit, you order the parts, the instructions are pretty laid out, so simple, anyone can follow them, and you have to basically have enough skill to cut 8 rectangular pieces of wood and put a bunch of parts together. That's the short version. The hard part, not for me, because I've been in CNC most of my life. It was hard back then. But the hard part for anyone is the software. And that's where I will say this. You have got so much support from an entire community that if you're ever stuck at any point, I've got a show that I do classes where I'm answering the same question over and over for the most basic of beginners, and I'm happy to do it.
And he just put in the chat that he's got 30 years as a diesel mechanic. So if you have that kind of mechanical ability, I think the biggest
you're overqualified
learning curve, I think, isn't, because I've if you see once you see the plans, I've done all the hard stuff for you. It's all drawings, put this here, put this washer in front of this nut. And, I mean, all that thinking's been done for you. So if you follow the plans, which I think are very detailed, I don't know what anybody else thinks, but that's what everybody else tells me. You won't have any problem building the machine. The learning curve comes in the software, especially if you haven't been around computers and or maybe maybe you got a computer, but about all you do is surf the web and check your email and stuff like that. That's more of a learning curve than building the machine. The machine's not that hard to build if you just follow the build videos and the plans and that kind of stuff. And as far as the software, there's not a software question. There's not a Vectric VCAR Pro Aspire question. There's not a Mach 3 question that hasn't already been asked somewhere. And
a dozen times
I'm amazed at the people that always want to post. And I mean, it's okay. I'm not griping, but I'm amazed at the people that will get on these Facebook groups and ask a question about VCAR Pro or Aspire or something like that. And I'm thinking, dude, why don't you just go watch their tutorials? They made the software. Where do you think the people that know it, where do you think they learn how?
Yeah.
It's, and if you have the software, you can click right over there and it takes you right to that stuff. So it's, but I would say that the software is going to be more of a learning curve.
Yeah.
And
you have, I mean, I could name off the top of my head that you've got, Dave has had some videos on the software. Mark Lindsay's got extensive videos on the CNC software at a very, very even pace. My pace is a bit faster. I've got some videos. Vectric by far has an incredible amount of videos in their library of how to very, very basic of how to function by function of how to do it. And the best part, really, like I said, is the community. I mean, when you're ready to build it, you just message me and I'll get on a hangout with you and I'll walk you through step by step. Dave was in the room with me. We were just talking, and I even knew how to build it, yet I'm still asking Dave, just to have that assurance. Nothing wrong with that. I can name probably on this chat alone, half the people in this chat will be happy to share their knowledge and hang out and do that. It is a very, very, very giving community. And
and I think I failed to put the link to the Facebook groups in this video in the show description. I meant to, but I do have the link to the community forum, and I also, somebody put that book on there, CNC book with Dave's link. Yeah, I've also got the link for that. I keep forgetting to put that on there, but that is an awesome book. I don't have it within arm's reach. It's sitting over there, but it's by George Vondriska and Randy Johnson. Great book about CNCs.
Here's the link to the Facebook Gatton CNC group.
I have, like I said, I have the link below to the community forum.
Right. Let me get George.
You can find the Facebook stuff. I mean, he put the link there, but it's either Gatton CNC and I also have a Facebook group called GarageWorks CNC.
Yep.
But there's such a great community of people, and that's probably what I'm more proud of than the machine itself, is the people that have formed this little community. And when there's a I noticed that when you go to the community forum, sometimes there'll be 6, 7, 8 days go by and nobody posts anything. And I think that's because people are more used to an immediate response with Facebook, because I guarantee you somebody will post a question in the Facebook group. And I'm pretty quick about seeing stuff because I have my phone on me pretty much all the time. But a lot of times before I can even type in a comment, there's already 3 or 4 other people chiming in and answering their questions. So, I mean, I keep saying it now, and I'm going to keep saying it. I have the best tech support crew, family, whatever you want to call them, ever. Because you could post something on the groups, the forum, and any time of night, day or night, it's somebody, you're going to get an answer pretty quick.
Yep.
And I don't think you're going to do that at some of these other companies, because they're all, they're companies, the big companies, they're the 9 to 5, and we don't work weekends. We'll catch the voicemail and get back to you on Monday. I don't have to worry about with this great community of folks that I mean, I haven't really done anything to. I won't say, I haven't assembled this group of people. They just came to me and said, "Hey, I want to build one of your things," and is fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah, he'll put you to work too. Every time I go visit Dave, I don't know why I end up with a broom in my hand, and his workshop is clean. He welcomes all people to take a look at his CNC. Just make sure you wear jeans, because I mean, he does keep a clean shop, and that is your responsibility.
Yeah. We have to start slow. Before I show you how to run a CNC, you have to make sure you know how to run a shop back.
Absolutely.
That's just how it works. Well, I guess any other questions or anything? I hope, David Rice, I hope we answered your questions and didn't scare you off. Now's a good time to do it, because I mean, there's just tons and tons of people. I don't know where you live, but I guarantee you there's probably a Gatton CNC within 100 miles of you. I don't care where you live in the U.S. It's probably at least within 100 miles or less.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome to. Anytime. I always tell folks, if you're coming through Atlanta or something and want to stop by.
If anybody's curious, here's the link to the Gatton CNC groups throughout all of the United States and, well, pretty much the world.
Yeah, and you know what's really bad about that, because I'm sure there's people that'll look at that and go, "Wow, them things are all over the place." That's probably not even half of them, because
yeah, absolutely not.
I quit trying to keep up with it, and I know the only ones that Becca adds are the people that do contact her and say, "Hey, I'm Joe Blow and I live in whatever."
And by the way, for those of you who are looking at this map and are not on it, go to the map, and I'm not really sure how to get on it. I just Google Gatton World of CNC, and you will see a whole bunch of people, including yours truly, right down here in Miami. And there's obviously Dave is around here somewhere. And well, anyway,
I think that's what Becca called it, Gatton World of CNC, and
yeah.
It pretty much is. I mean, most of them are in the U.S., obviously, but there's some in Canada, and now there's even starting to get some all over.
We have one in Hawaii. We have one in Romania. We have obviously Peter Posuelo's here, and we got the Australia, New Zealand covered.
Yeah, well, it's all part of my plan.
Oh, and Rob Hampton's from. I didn't know. Rob, that's right. He is from Australia.
It's all part of my plan of world domination.
That works. That works.
But anywho, Vince Roberts, he's in east side of Tennessee. Yeah, when you get a kit, I don't think you even have to wait till you get it built. Just contact Becca Miller. She's my what would I call her? She's the map gal, I guess.
The map gal, Becca Miller.
She may be sorry she ever.
Sean says he's got the biggest one 40 miles away down in my but what? I got the biggest one about 40 miles away down in Miami. Oh, I guess he's referring to mine. Well, it's not the biggest, but it's the biggest with the 1/2-inch lead screws because I use a full lead screws on them. But I will say that it's the biggest one mounted on a wall.
Yeah.
That I know of.
Mark Lindsay says Becca is the map mistress. I like that.
Map mistress. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah, the map should be filling up all over the place now. I don't know if the folks across the pond and stuff like that will be contacting you to be put on the map or not, but yeah, there's a bunch of them. Western Illinois is where David is. I'm sure. I'm trying to think. I mean, even if you don't see, hey Barbara, how you doing? Even if you don't see one on the map, because sometimes I'll get emails and people will say, you know, I saw a name on the map, or you know, do you know of any? And I mean, I keep records. I've got records of every single person I've ever sold anything to. So with a little quick search, I can usually find somebody relatively close. I don't know. Let's see. Have we got any Alaska and Hawaii? I think there's one in Hawaii.
We have one in Hawaii, yeah.
What about Alaska? Is there some in Hawaii?
Let me check. I just closed the let me look it up again.
I think there might be. Okay, David Rice, Thomas Grimm says he's just outside of Champaign. So I don't know how close that is to. Yeah, there is one in Alaska, Mark Lindsay says.
Well, unfortunately, he's not in the he's not on the map, but yeah, I have no doubt. Let's see.
Yeah. Well, like I said, the map's kind of impressive to look at, but it's even more impressive to me because I know that that's probably only about half of them,
right?
Maybe less than half, because there for a while I was trying to keep up, and then it got to the point like, nah, I can't do this anymore. I just don't have time to try to get a list and get it to Becca or put it on the website and stuff. So the list you see, I think
here it is. There are two in Alaska. It's
okay.
Tom Conway and Larry Mackey.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But
Norway. Love these names.
Yeah. See, we had one in Germany because I shipped that one to Carlo when he was stationed in Germany. Of course, now he's got it. He's shipped it back, and it's in where are they at? Louisiana, I think. No, Alabama, Louisiana, somewhere down there.
Carlos Savergas.
Yeah.
He's he's just south of he's near Dothan, Alabama.
Okay. Yeah. And Jerry says the other half are in Texas, and boy, ain't that the truth. I've said this before. There's hardly a week
quite a few
by that I don't ship one to Texas. Man, you guys in Texas, you covered up with Gattons out there.
Got a whole bunch in Central Florida there. A lot more than they used to be. Let's see. We got Bill, Dan, Tim, Russ. We got Alan, Andrew Haig, and Pedro.
I kind of miss the old days because when I say old days, I'm talking just over 2 years ago now. But when I first started doing this, I could hear a name and I'd go, oh, yeah, he bought a Gatton or he bought a Garage Works. And I know what size Garage Works he bought. Now there's just so many of them.
There's so many.
I can't even remember the names, much less, because somebody will say, hey, Dave, I got one of your machines. And I go, well, let me go look it up real quick because I don't even know what he's talking about. I don't know if it's a Gatton, a Garage Works, or what. So, anywho, well, we're going over here cutting into your time, Javi.
That's all right. I'll be doing an informal Q&A for anyone that wants to join me at CNC Talk with Javi on my channel. Let me put the link up. Should be about.
What are you doing over there tonight?
I'm sorry. Tonight it'll be. I don't know. I guess if anybody has any questions at all, whether beginner questions or not, I mean, I'll have the Vectric up in case anybody wants to pose a how do you do this question, or whether it's Vectric or any other software, or if you would just want to talk shop. And that's what I plan on doing today is questions like the size of different shops, even if it's not so much CNC related, because that's you know how you get on a subject and your mind is stuck on that subject. Well, my mind is stuck on my future shop in 4 years, and until it gets old, I'm going to be concentrating on the little design of the.
I know what you could do on your show tonight.
Yeah. What's that?
You could do a 3D printer unboxing live video.
I could do that. I could do that
thing off, and you know, I'm just saying.
I might as well. Well, I've got it here. I can.
You're going to need it to make your little models for your
I have no idea. I mean, I had a. Well, I'll explain it on my show again. But I had a buddy of mine who, well, he owed me some money, and the printer was worth more than what he owed me. I bought a new one. You want it? And I upgraded it. It's a monoprice, and I said, yeah. Yeah, that way we keep the friendship, and I get a new printer. So I've yet to pull it out of the box. I know it works because he said so, but short of that, no clue.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you need suggestions for your show tonight, that would be mine.
That's a good suggestion. I'll jump back and forth between CNC routing and CNC.
Becca Miller's being funny. She says, Dave, you're obsessed with 3D printers. I remember when you liked CNCs. I still like CNCs a lot.
Oh yeah.
Because if it wasn't for CNCs,
it's funny. It's funny you say that, and I'm actually gonna mention it on my show. I plan on. I'm hoping to get. I'm taking a trip up next weekend. Oh, by the way, folks, next weekend I won't be here, I won't be in town at all, and I'll have very limited coverage, so I'll be incognito. And I'm taking a trip with the RV, and I want to get those tabs done. It would take weeks for a 3D printer to print 80 tabs that I need for this for the RV. So I'm actually going to CNC them, and I think they're going to turn out pretty well. We'll see, and
yeah. Mark Lindsay said he's chatted with a guy in the CNC for Beginners group who has one of my steel sidewinders. You don't happen to remember who that was, Mark? Although I probably wouldn't remember that name either, but I'm just curious. There's probably, most of you guys don't even know what we're talking about, but
were they all gray, or were there some green ones?
No, they were all gray.
They were all gray. All right.
Everybody would always say, well, can I get it this color? And I go, you can have it any color you want as long as it's machine tool gray. that's all I sprayed was machine tool gray. And there's probably, I don't know the exact number. I'd have to go back through my records. And this was, 10 years ago, 10 years ago. But there's about 100 or so of those floating around the U.S. and Canada. I have the very first one, and Melinda has the very last one. So,
let me start heading over to.
Yeah, we're gonna get out of here. Hobby's gotta do a show. We don't want to hog up all his time. Y'all follow him over there and hang around with him. I'll probably hang around just to see if he's going to unbox that 3D printer.
I probably will.
I want to see. But But yeah, everybody, I appreciate y'all coming, hanging out with us. Like I said, we don't really have a structured show anymore. We just get on here and talk about, yeah, just like Henry Ford. You can have your Ford any color you want as long as it's black. I've had people ask if I would paint the garage works a different color, and it makes me not even want to sell one to them. Like, no, it's powder coated safety orange, man. You can't get any prettier than that. So anyway, all right, guys, we're gonna get out of here. Thanks for watching. Please leave a thumbs up on your way out if you had a good time here, and if you didn't, leave one anyway, or a thumbs down. I don't care. All pays the same. So anyway, everybody take care. We'll see y'all next week.
Good night, all.
Good night, everybody.